What do you associate with the Base chain? Now, of course, Coinbase, but what kind of assets get traded on the Base chain? Now, there's Bitcoin, there is Aerodrome, the largest decentralized exchange on Base. But then you might think maybe it's the virtual protocol, maybe it's meme coins, maybe those are the leading tokens on Base. Very few people seem to realize that it's actually a payment network called Keeta. That's the second largest token on the entire Base chain. And when few people have an asset on the radar, maybe that's the time to get in. Have a look at the trending tokens on the Base chain. Number one is Aerodrome, the leading decentralized exchange. We've got Wrapped Bitcoin at number 2, but then already follows Keeta. KTA has liquidity worth 11 million on the chain. Keeta is a decentralized finance protocol that enables payments across blockchains, and apparently it also has support by Google's ex-CTO, Eric Schmidt. I've published videos on the asset several times on this channel. And again, there tended to be very little attention. This was the number of views of that specific video, and this is the gray area, how much an average video gets in views. So in general, over all of those videos, there was very little attention, but I continued publishing, and now it seems like some people are starting to make some research. The majority of the views come from active YouTube search. This is not the algorithm recommending a KTA video. Now here's the very first time we talked about Keeta. That was at 15 cents. Currently we are at 37 cents. This is when that first video was published. So we had a 10x, a subsequent crash. Now we are rather down. And the question is this potentially an opportunity again? Now this is how I in general approach crypto. I try to not focus so much on the shiny object. This is where the crowded trade is. I think it's better to look at the trades or the potential opportunities that most people don't yet have on their radar, because in general there is correlation between price and attention. When currently there's a lot of attention on an asset, I don't necessarily want to buy it. I think it's better to buy the things that are not yet that much discussed. And so in the last 24 hours we had only a bit over 500 wallets interacting with Keeta on the Base chain. And that compares to 126,000 holders on chain. If you're getting value out of this content so far, then feel free to give this a like. You can also subscribe because I publish videos regularly. Of course, any support is very much appreciated. It will help the channel grow. Have a look at the number of new wallets that interact with the token per day. It's only around 300 to 400. The majority of traders are returning traders. They are just getting in and out of the asset. The attention on Keeta is low. The number of buyers and sellers per day is not necessarily high, but it's also not a dying project, as in activity is just hovering along. What we're seeing here is the number of retail investors versus whale investors over time. The way you make this distinction is by looking at how many tokens are held in a particular wallet. So on the left side, that's equivalent to roughly $1,000. On the right side, that's equivalent to $100,000. And in the middle, that's $10,000. So we go at 10x with each of those charts. So let me get myself out of the way. The thresholds are defined in number of tokens, not in US dollars, because then price fluctuations don't impact the trend. We can see how retail continued to accumulate the token up until October of this year. The medium-sized investor already stopped buying in June of this year, and the whales tend to rather go down in numbers. And that then also reflects in the price development, as in this is now KTA not in US dollars, but relative to the altcoin market cap. Since the medium-sized investors started selling, we tended to see an underperformance of KTA versus the rest of the altcoin market. And that might be due partially because of token unlocks. Because the first unlocks started at the beginning of June, here is the chart. 50% of supply is community and ecosystem reserve, but we've also got team unlocks, early investor unlocks, and foundation treasury unlocks. And the current trend isn't that positive, and the supply is growing. Where is the potential opportunity? The question is always about potential upside. Here's an overview of payment solution related cryptocurrencies. Keeta has a market cap of 164 million. There is a possibility to do a 2x from here. And let's broaden the scope. This is real world asset related cryptocurrencies. Then the upside is way higher than just 2x, right? We could potentially beat Injective or XDC or Quant. Then we are looking at 3, 4, potentially 5x multiples. Right now, it still might be a bit early to get into Keeta. We could see potential underperformance versus the rest of the altcoin market by another 21-22%. But once we hit that bottom, there's two potential trades. The first one could end with an outperformance of 200%. Then we can take some chips off the table, take out our initial investment, and then the second trade is of course to bet on new all-time highs, which would mean growth close to 700%. I will continue to make updates on Keeta on this channel, especially once we hit the lower end of the trading range, so feel free to subscribe over here. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. Feel free to also check out the premium membership. A link pops up here on the screen. You will tell everything about premium on that website. I'm sharing every single trade that I personally make to the premium members in real time. So see you next time on YouTube or see you on premium. Cheers.